I hope everyone's ready to live their life a quarter mile at a time this summer as we go through the entire Fast and Furious collection. And what a way to start off, but with the first movie in the series as we ask the question, but is The Fast and the Furious a good movie? Welcome back to our podcast where every week we're on a quest to curate the best movie collection. In the time where your favorite movies are constantly fluctuating through multiple streaming services, it is important to decide which movie has earned a spot in the collection. So join us every week as we ask the question, but is it a good movie? I'm your host, Ish, and with me is Nick.
That's me.
And it's just going to be the boys tonight because this is an all-boys club.
Oh, fuck yeah.
No girls allowed for the Fast and Furious movie.
Well, you're right.
This is such a bonkers franchise, and we've only got a taste of it so far. Because...
just a morsel of what's to come.
Yeah. Just like the sweet nougat of the beautiful early 2000s and what they provided with us. I have seen this movie numerous times before. I want to say at least in the double digits. I don't know how many times you've seen this movie.
I think this is like the second time.
Second time?
This might be the first time I sat down and actually watched the movie all the way through.
Okay.
Without like having like a video game in front of me or like talking over it.
So I want to talk about how, since you're very newish to this series and this franchise as a whole, what was like your first thoughts watching this movie? And it's okay if they are bad, because this movie is very decisive. Some people think it's terrible. Some people think it's good for what it is.
Yeah. It's not that I think it's like a terrible movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely, it was very rough to get into at the start because like I'm not a car guy, so I thought it was all gonna be like cars and shit, but it actually, like, I don't know, it's a little bit more than that.
Yeah, it is weird trying to get people into this movie because I feel like you don't know what this movie's about until 40 minutes in.
Yeah, like the real plot doesn't show itself.
Yeah.
For like a while.
Yeah, because in the beginning you're just like, who is this guy and why does he desperately want to join these other dudes?
Yeah, no, yeah, because like at first when we meet Paul Walker's character Brian, he seems kind of desperate for friends almost. Yeah, and he's really trying to get with this girl at the same time. And I was kind of like, did he just move here? Like, what's this all about?
I think it might be implied that that's his backstory, is that he just moved here because he has an Arizona driver's license. Yeah. So they keep calling him like Mr. Arizona.
Gotcha.
But
he's here for work.
Yeah.
And it's not slinging car parts for Harry's or Henry's.
Yeah, Henry's, like, maybe it is Harry's.
He's a fucking cop.
Yeah.
Which like I knew before going into the movie because it got like, well, like I have seen it kind of before. Like, yeah. But I think a lot of people talk about it.
Yeah.
You know?
So the premise of the movie is that there is an undercover cop trying to bust down this crime organization in Los Angeles because they keep hijacking trucks and stealing a bunch of merchandise. So he tries to go into this very like niche subculture of street racing. And along the way, he has to make tough decisions if he should betray the friends he made along the way or turn them in and do his job, essentially. I feel like that's a really good breakdown of what the movie actually is.
Yep.
Where it tries to do. You don't learn that he is a cop until minute 30, 40-ish. So I want to get into that a little bit later, but before we start, I wanted to talk to you about the subculture of street racing. So I don't know if you know like how this movie came to be. So this movie came to be because the producers of this movie read an article from a 1998 Vibe article called Racer X.
X.
By Kenneth Lee. And the article talked about illegal street racing in New York. And that kind of like triggered this whole thing where they're like, no, they didn't know that this subculture existed. So they decided to like look into it and make a whole thing about it. Along the ways, they also copied Point Break. Was like main storyline.
it's like, so like growing up, kind of not like very city esque, but like not like in the country either. Like that nice like middle point. Never had to deal with street racing before.
Okay.
Never like there was a couple times in like a town over. There was like you would see those like muscle cars pull up next to each other and they would rev their engines at each other. That was like the closest I've ever seen to it.
Oh, see, because I was gonna ask you like, how familiar were you with the subculture of street racing?
Seen that in movies.
Because
maybe TV.
For me growing up, it was everywhere.
Damn.
Like my cousin at a point got like a really shitty Honda Civic and like souped it up and like participated in some street races.
Yeah, I think over here on the East Coast, you see a lot of souped up Honda Civics.
Yeah.
Not for like racing, just because that's like a style.
Yeah. No, it was very alive where I'm from. Funny enough, someone in my neighborhood growing up across the street from my elementary school, there was an exact replica of Brian's green car with the Eagle on it.
Holy shit.
And it was always parked there. And that dude must have thought that was the sickest shit. But it was always parked in front of a really shitty apartment complex. So
across the street from an elementary school.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, so like my elementary school is like here. And if you walk down the street, there's like an apartment complex. And his green Brian O'Connor racing car was always parked there.
Damn.
And as a kid, I was like, that's the car from the Fast and the Furious. And for some reason, I always thought it was like the actual car and not just like some fanboy who really wanted that car.
That's funny. I never really thought about like a fanboy getting like a car like that. It does make sense.
Yeah.
You know, like like you see something on TV, you see a character wear like a certain coat or jacket or shirt, and you're like, I want that.
Yeah.
I just never thought about it as a car. I'm not a car guy.
Okay.
I could barely change my oil.
Yeah.
Maybe.
See, that's interesting because I'm also not a car guy. I'm so much of not a car guy that I don't drive. Like, I've never been a gearhead. I've never been that interested in it. But
is that what they're called? Gearheads?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Well, at least that's what I always like known them as. But growing up, there was always like a big car culture where I'm from, especially with lowriders. Like there's always like a lot of people working on their cars. There's always car shows going around.
See, it's funny because like when we were watching the movie, there's a lot of like the low riding cars and stuff. And all I thought about was around here, how you would destroy your car.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's so many potholes
on
the East Coast.
You know, funny enough, this is really off topic, but I just saw a video on Instagram the other day of there was a flooded road and this dude was in a lowrider. So he just like made his car go and he like lifted off so he could go across that flooded street.
Yo, the Transformer.
Yeah, it was insane.
It was like the car pulled its pants up.
Yeah, essentially. Because there was like a huge line and he was like, I got this. And you could just like hear it go.
That's awesome.
Ah, man. But yeah, so I always thought it was weird that since I've never been that into cars, why this movie really grabbed my attention from the beginning. So I was like a little too young when this movie came out. It came out in 2001. So I really did not care about like what was going on. But it wasn't until it came out on DVD and people started buying it. I feel like everyone I knew had this movie on DVD.
Okay.
Whenever we would go to barbecues or anything and someone has to play a movie for like the kids, this movie is always on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
So like I watched this a lot at like family gatherings and stuff because I've never been like that much of a social person. So I would always gravitate towards the TV and like, oh, cool. What are we watching? The car movie.
You're like, ooh.
Yeah.
The Fast and the Furious again.
Yeah. But it wasn't until Too Fast, Too Furious where I really got into this like franchise. Because like I think that one's just like a little bit more colorful. So
this one didn't hook you right away.
No, it wasn't until I was older and I like started rewatching them.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't think the first movie I saw in theaters was the fourth one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not gonna lie, I don't see the appeal of just this movie alone. Like if this one never had a sequel or made a franchise,
yeah,
I would not understand why people like it.
No.
I'll talk about that more when we get into certain parts.
Mm-hmm.
But this movie's very confusing on how it's lined up.
It is very, it's like it's very unstructured, and it's not your typical 3 arc movie structure.
No, it's like it has like 3 different plots going on.
Yeah.
And maybe like one of those plots has another side plot.
Yeah.
And there's like they do throw a lot of like character detail everywhere, but it's like stuff that we don't need.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know this was going to be a franchise.
Yeah.
So it just kind of feels like why are you saying these random things?
Yeah, it's funny because I've heard from numerous people that the Fast and Furious franchise, there's only 4 or 5 good movies in the entire franchise, but no one could agree which 4 are good.
Oh, well, I will try to figure that out for myself.
Yeah. But let's get into some like the talking points that I wanted to hit up. So I wanted to talk to you about the characters. So let's start there, right? So we got Brian O'Connor, which is the almost like the Boy Scout. And then we have Dom's crew. So we got Dom, we got Letty,
who's his girlfriend.
Yeah, I would say it's his girlfriend. We got Leon, we got
Jesse,
Vince, and I guess Mia.
Okay,
Mia's the sister. She's like not in the crew,
but she knows how to drive.
Yeah, she knows how to drive, and I would say like those are the essential people of his crew.
I guess I think I can agree with that.
Oh my god, watching this movie again, it's so weird seeing how young everyone is in this movie, especially like Letty, because she has like you pointed this out, but she does have like really weird facial expressions throughout this movie.
Like she's not a weird looking person. But like the whole movie, it's like I want to know what direction the director gave her, because like it was like I want you to look pissed off but try to look sexy the whole time. Yeah, because like she's like growling half the time and like flaring her like lips and shit at people.
Yeah,
and she gives like a lot of like smug looks and shit.
Yeah, it is like almost like a permanent scowl that she has on.
Yeah, that's the word, scowl.
And the only movie I know from her that's even before this, because she is like such a young actor at the time, was a movie called Girl Fight, where she's like a boxer or something.
No,
I don't remember it being that good. But do you have like a certain movie where you think of that actor and you're like, that's the movie I know them from the most?
Yeah.
What would you say for Letty?
For Letty, see, I haven't seen too many like movies with her in it. But whenever I think of Vin Diesel, all I think about is the box cover or for like Fast and the Furious, the one where he has like he's folding his arms in front of the car.
Oh, okay, that's
like all I picture him as. Like anything I see him in, I was like, you're the guy from Fast and the Furious, and I've never seen that movie.
I always think of Vin Diesel from The Pacifier, because I feel like I watched The Pacifier a lot as a kid, and the Riddick series.
Okay, yeah, I've seen Riddick 1.
Okay,
so but like it's not like too much where I'm like, that's Vin Diesel. Also, anytime I see him like on stage or like at like meetings and stuff like that where he's talking, he's a very bad public speaker for an actor. Which, like, I didn't learn till, like, probably, like, a couple of years ago that a lot of actors suck at public speaking.
Oh, yeah.
Like, whenever they get their star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, it's always like, damn, can you please hire someone to write your fucking speech for you?
Yeah,
like,
I guess as of recently, Johnny Depp, right? Johnny Depp always sounds like he's, like, super drunk anytime he talks. He's always, like, fumbling on words and stuff.
And he, like, does that,
Yeah. But yeah, Vin Diesel is like, he's like the special breed.
He was born to play this role, though.
Oh my god, yes.
He is Dom. Like, I feel like his mom and dad were like, your name is going to be Dom. And then someone changed it to Vin Diesel. And like, what the fuck?
Yeah, because Vin Diesel is, he's also a weird guy where, like I said, I do know him from The Pacifier and from the Riddick series. But I feel like before this, other than the Riddick series, he wasn't like a main staple. And it wasn't until the Fast and Furious movies came out that people were like, this guy. he's a star. He's going to be like a superstar from now on. And essentially he did in his own little world.
Yeah, I think definitely like the Fast and the Furious like franchise blew him up into like main stage.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like that's it though.
Yeah.
Like I can't really see him doing too much. Like he's not like an action star where it's like you have The Rock, he did his big breakout and shit. So like I feel like Vin Diesel wanted to get that. I don't know if Vin Diesel was trying to bust out into like the action role, try to be like Bruce Willis and shit like that.
Yeah, so he doesn't come back for the second movie because him and the director
Spoilers.
Him and director of this movie go on to make Triple X. I don't know if you've seen Triple X.
Never.
Triple X is also a movie of its time where everything was extreme, like X Games, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, X Games.
Yeah,
X Game mode.
And he plays a character, I believe, called Xander Cage.
Ooh.
And it is like a spy espionage movie where he's like trying to track down people and kill them and stuff. It's insane. It's very of its time. But
is it a good movie?
I don't remember.
Maybe we'll find out later.
I don't remember if it is a good movie. I know the second one has Ice Cube in it instead.
Oh shit!
Because Xander Cage dies or suppose I don't know. He comes back.
Spoiler.
It's a whole thing.
You're spoiling so many movies.
I'm sorry, but yeah, that's where I mainly know Vin Diesel, and he had like a small role in Saving Private Ryan.
Oh, he did. Damn.
So I feel like he tried. Also, like, it's funny that he's really into D&D.
Yeah. He's really into video games and shit.
Yeah, do you know? I think he has like this D&D character tattooed on him.
No shot.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's like really into it.
Dang.
And then we have Brian, played by Paul Walker.
Yeah, the late Paul Walker.
Yeah. And he was also one of those actors that not really in much.
No.
And at the time, I feel like a lot of people were giving Paul Walker a ton of shit because he was known as that one guy who could only do like one expression, like his face in this movie, essentially.
Yeah. Oh God. Honestly, of the two main characters, Dom and Brian, Dom is way better.
Oh yeah.
Vin Diesel is like really good in this movie compared to Paul Walker. Paul Walker is like a dud.
Yeah,
in half of his scenes, in my opinion.
He is like a pretty boy essentially for this movie.
Yeah, like his hair is that hair that like no matter which way it's facing and messy and stuff like that, he's looking at the camera and like they're like perfect, you're hot. Like that's like basically all it is.
I love how one of the characters is like, that's a nice haircut.
Oh God.
And then like the other characters, I don't really remember them for much. Vince and Jesse and Leon. I feel like I maybe if I saw them in other movies I would recognize them, but off the top of my head I can't think of a single movie that they're in.
Nope.
But what did you think of the weird rivalry between Vince and Brian?
It comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's like since minute one, Vince is on Brian.
Yeah, like sexually on him too.
Yeah.
Like, so like do we meet Brian when he's talking to Mia?
We meet Brian. Well, first we meet Brian because he's trying to like race his own car. He's like testing out what his car can do.
Oh yeah, you're right. And he goes to the sandwich shop.
Yeah, Toretto's Market and Cafe.
Where Mia works, which is Dom's sister. And I guess he's been showing up a lot, like for the past like couple weeks or something. And he goes and he orders like the same tuna on
white,
no crust, and which is a red flag. Not because he cut his crust off, because he's eating tuna.
Oh, you're not a tuna guy?
I hate tuna. It's gross.
I was gonna ask you later about that specific sandwich. Because I was just telling Armia, not this Mia, I was just telling Armia how I've never been a tuna fan on any occasion other than like once when I was in Mexico and we went to a water park and all there was tuna sandwiches and I ate it, and so all I could think about is tuna sandwiches on hot days and like how that's kind of refreshing in a way. But gross. I'm not a fan of tuna sandwiches.
No. I don't care how refreshing it is. I'd rather die than eat one of those.
So that's like a monstrosity play right there when he orders a tuna on white.
Anything with tuna is a monstrosity.
I do like how he asks like, "How's the tuna?" And she's like, "Shitty," just like it was all week.
Yeah, I feel like that's like his weird pickup line.
Yeah, how's the tuna?
Yeah, how's the tuna? And then she'll like start talking to him. And that's how he gets like in the door. I guess not pickup line, but a good like, cold open.
It is such a weird choice, and I'm very curious if like the director was like, what is the whitest sandwich we could think of for this like very
tuna and white, no crust, like he's a little kid.
Yeah. Like he should have just ordered a ham and cheese.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe tuna and white is like a little bit weirder.
Yeah. I think I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with that. But like now his whole personality is he's a cop that likes tuna.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah, very weird. But yeah, so we meet Brian there, like officially, and then Vince and Letty and Jesse show up, right?
Yeah.
And Dom is already in the back. He's like been there, and he's just kind of like chatting with Mia. And then when Vince shows up and stuff, he like is immediately jealous, like right out of the gates. It's like if anybody would just stand next to her on the sidewalk, he would fight him. Like that's just like how jealous he got so fast.
Yeah, because it's like as soon as they get there and he sees her talking to Mia, he's immediately pissed.
And it's like, all right, so obviously they have some kind of like history, but like they don't explain it. Mia does have a throwaway line, which I guess isn't throwaway because it does make sense. She goes, "I don't date my brother's friends." Maybe that's why.
You know what it is? I think Mia later on when she's talking to Brian, they're talking about the rest of the team and how they know each other. And she does bring up that Vince and Dom have been growing up together their entire lives. Like, they've always been friends. And then Letty was, like, the girl across the street. So maybe, like, Vince has always had a crush on Mia ever since he was, like, a kid growing up.
Okay, I could see that.
He's
always been chasing Mia.
Yeah, because he's trying to like always pick her up throughout the movie. He's like throwing out like cues and like just seeing what Mia will pick up, and she's just very not interested in him at all.
Yeah, I wonder if Dom had anything to do with that.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe he was like, "If you roll with me, you don't touch my sister," kind of thing.
Yeah, but like Vince has never trusted this guy. Since like the first minute he saw him, he's like, something's up with this dude.
Yeah,
because like
he has good intuition because he
does,
because he calls him out as a cop real quick.
Oh yeah, well he's like, "What's your deal? Like, why are you coming around here?" And he's like, "For the tuna." It's like, bullshit. No one likes the tuna here.
Yeah.
So it's like, why do you have the tuna on the menu?
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's where they start like their first fight, right? Everything sets off, which I like when movies do this. When they choose a song on the soundtrack to match what's going on. So the song at that moment is "Watch Your Back." And it's like as Vince is like going against Brian and trying to kick his ass.
Yeah. I also thought this movie was going to have a lot more like rap music in it.
It has a variety.
Yeah, it has a nice variety. It has like techno, which was very surprising. I guess not because it's like the 2000s.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was gonna be like pretty much all hip hop or like rap and shit like that. So it was kind of interesting to hear like the variety.
It's weird because I feel like 2001 was a weird time for music.
Oh my god, yeah, there's so many like one hit wonders and stuff.
Yeah,
like I remember the radio playing. It was like, and now today's like top whatever, and it'd be like every genre.
Yeah,
and, hey, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, because yeah, like you said, like there is techno, and then there are some rap songs, but then there's Limp Bizkit, and
Limp Bizkit was big in the 2000s.
Yeah, it has such a weird vibe, but also works for the movie.
Yeah, it's a weird movie, so it needs a weird soundtrack.
Almost like an early Grand Theft Auto like soundtrack.
Oh my god, Grand Theft Auto has a really good soundtrack though.
Yeah, but in that scene where Vince is like picking on Brian, essentially, I do like how we're introduced to Dom because we haven't seen Dom yet. Essentially, we don't know who Dom is, because in the beginning we see
the back of his head.
Yeah, and that's all we see. And he's very like mystic as like a character. Letty shows up and she's like, "You want a drink?" And he like doesn't say anything. He just like lifts up the soda. And it's not until Mia's like, "Dom, you gotta like take care of this shit. I'm tired of this." And
Oh yeah, while they're fighting.
And he breaks it up real fast. And he is super intimidating.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like, if I saw Vin Diesel in like across the street handling that situation, I'm like, never going to that market ever again.
Yeah, I do not want to cross that man.
Yeah.
So he breaks up the fight, and then like I guess Brian drops his wallet, because like that's how they see that he's from Arizona.
Either he drops it or he left it at the counter.
Yeah. And so then this was when they get his name, Brian Spillner.
Spillner, yeah.
Now that's his fake name.
Yeah.
Because we learn later that he Googles him. Essentially, he like not Googles, but like he looks him up online and shit like that. And for a second there, I was like, wait, how did he not know he was a cop? And I was like, oh wait, they call him O'Connor. Like that's his real name.
Yeah, he's undercover essentially. So they set up like a fake backstory for him, which was kind of cool. I do like how they make it so he spent time in juvie and there's like fake backstory and stuff. I guess to relate to Dom a little bit more.
Yeah, to kind of get in and be like, oh yeah, you did time, I did time too.
Yeah. So Nick, were you surprised at the point when Brian gets pulled over and we find out he's a cop?
No.
No, like, do you remember like the first time you saw this, or?
I don't remember the first time I saw it.
Oh, okay.
But without really thinking about it too much, I did remember that he was a cop. Like I said, I do remember people talking about the movie. But it is kind of like, it's weird because it feels obvious that he's a cop. The way he like kind of acts and he stutters and stuff like that. That might just because like it feels kind of like a trope.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like a white boy undercover cop. Like they always kind of act the same.
Yeah, he's like that Steve Buscemi meme that's like, how are we doing, fellow kids?
Yeah. Yeah, no, he sticks out like a sore thumb in this cast of characters.
Okay.
Which like I feel like Vince having the intuition doesn't feel like it comes out of left field. Because he already doesn't like him. And he just kind of probably gets like a vibe and shit.
Yeah.
Like if you're dealing with these street races and we learn later that they're doing more than just that. You probably have seen some cops in your time, and you probably all kind of get like a vibe of them, you know?
Yeah.
Because like when you're undercover, it's like you have to act. You know, you have to play this part, and if you're not really good at playing the part, you know.
Yeah, I feel that.
I feel like Brian plays the part. I feel like Brian plays the part, but like not too well. He's a little sheepish in some scenes.
Yeah.
Like where like Tom's asking like, oh, what's your deal? Like, how do you know how to drive? And like he just like pretends like no, I just started. Yeah. It's just like red flag. Yeah. Immediately.
Yeah, because he's not honest with them. And I don't know if that's like Brian is just on another level of like being an undercover. He's like, if I act sheepish and if I act like suspicious, he'll be suspicious that maybe I'm lying about me being in juvie and not about me lying being a cop. Which I feel like kind of gets Dom, but Dom's a little bit smart. So he's like, no, something else is up here.
Yeah, something is totally up.
As a kid, I do remember being very surprised when I find out that he's a cop, because I was like, why are they pulling this man over? Like, yeah. And then when they show up at that like hideout, and they're like, and he's like, take the cuffs off of me. I was like, what? No way. It was like a Darth Vader, I am your father moment for me.
Yeah, it is definitely like, as like it is a little obvious, but like you don't really like pinpoint it. Yeah. You know? It makes sense, you know. But I think it is good. I think it is like a good like little twist to throw in there.
I've showed this movie to people who have seen later movies in the series, and going back to the first one, they were very surprised that he was a cop. Because in all the later movies, he's with the crew. So he's like a criminal at that point. So seeing him as a cop, as like that was his origin story, they were like, what the fuck? When did that happen?
That's his Joker moment.
So now that we've established he's a cop, I want to ask you, do you think Brian is a bad cop, or is the whole situation just not worth it?
It's not worth it.
No, right? But is Brian a bad cop still?
In the sense of doing his job the right way, he's terrible.
He's very bad at his job.
He's following some of his orders.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it's like to be a cop, but he has fallen from Mia.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. He was trying to use Mia as his way into Dom, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
So he had to do the street race alternative.
Yeah.
Which I feel like if he came around to the market where Mia worked for 3 weeks, they said, or something.
Yeah, like a couple of weeks at least.
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing. Like for 3 weeks, when like you just had to enter one race and lose, and then somehow like I don't know. Like I just feel like the street race progressed his like case so much faster.
Yeah.
And him talking to this girl was just like his like he was just like, oh, I'm in love with her. She's hot.
Yeah. He was playing like the long game.
Yeah, but it was like the long game to get with a guy.
Mm-hmm.
And like he didn't want to get with a guy. He wanted to get with a girl. And it's like, I don't know.
Also, like the whole situation of this case is just nonsensical because they say that this crew has stolen over $6 million in merchandise, which is not a lot.
You don't think 6 million's a lot?
Not to like in LA. I feel like because all they're doing is stealing VCR, TV sets, and DVD VHS like combo packs.
Yeah, I guess technically they might not make 6 million back. Like it might be worth 6 million, but if they had to resell it, they can't sell for like market value.
I guess it's a lot of money, but for like the FBI and the LAPD to both be involved.
Yeah, this would more be like an LAPD thing.
Like, why is the FBI? Because like this is all they've done. It's not like they're like high level criminals.
Yeah, like I'd say if they did this and another big heist thing on the side, like maybe robbing banks and shit, FBI would be involved.
And it's insane to think about. It's like, oh yeah, they barely like steal 6 million, and later on in the movies they steal like hundreds of millions of dollars. So it's like, oh, that's like a thing where it's like, okay, the FBI is involved, but like compare that to like this is like nothing.
Yeah. Also, the way they pull the heist off, so they do highway robbery on tractor trailers. Now, I've seen movies where they do this and stuff. They usually get like the brigade around the truck and shit. But the way they go about it, where they harpoon the glass out and then they like zip line into it, it's like, what the fuck?
I'm so glad we're talking about this because it is the most bonkers way to rob a semi I've ever seen. Harpoon guns. How do they know how to shoot a harpoon gun? Like, and they have two because they have to take out the window and they have to harpoon the seat. And then they've done this enough times that they know how to do it, when to do it, and like tie it to them so they could not fall off the truck. Insane. Absolutely insane.
So like my thing is like, so I've seen movies where they do the highway robberies before.
Yeah.
Where they just kind of like drive up to the back of the truck and they use some kind of tool to like get in. And then that's how they rob it. Yeah. This is like such a ludicrous way to do it because like, I don't know. Like, imagine the first person they did this to. The driver's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, could we see like in the beginning of the movie where we get to see this happening? But they do it on motorcycles, which is...
That's crazier.
Insane.
Yeah.
Because like, you don't even know it's them because they'll have helmets on and shit. But like when they do it, you're like, wait a minute, how are you doing this on a motorcycle? Oh yeah. But what was I saying?
Also, they like Clark Griswold with this a lot, where they like have a car going underneath.
Oh my god, the director or the writers were like, this is the money shot.
Yeah,
because they do it twice.
Yeah, they're like, remember Christmas Vacation? What if our dudes do that?
But cool.
Yeah.
So they rob the truck, but we see that in the beginning they do it to this one guy. He has like a stick up with him and he's trying to hit the person and they tranquilize him.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, that's insane because now I assume that this truck is going to veer off the side of the road, but somehow he moves the unconscious truck driver and drives.
Yeah.
And then the ending one is he has a shotgun.
Yeah, because
I don't know if the truck drivers lose money because they get robbed or anything, but why is this man trying to kill? I'd let them have it.
I don't know. That's weird, right? Because it's like, how do truck drivers handle these situations? Is it a like if you lose your whole supply, you're responsible for this?
Yeah, because I was like, all right, I was gonna say the first guy we see in the movie that gets robbed, he gets tranquilized.
Yeah.
If someone said to him like, "Okay, now you owe me $5 million of merchandise," like I'd be like, "Dude,
yeah,
they fucking knocked me out. Like I had no way to defend myself."
Yeah. Also, like in the first truck, it's known that it's an inside job because
the guy calls out like, "Look for the big sign on."
So it's like, what a dick move that you're just like, I don't like this coworker, so. But I don't hate him enough, so don't kill him. Just trank him.
Yeah.
Or like, why not let the truck driver in on it? And it's like, okay, we're gonna rob you, but you'll get a cut.
Give him like 10-20%.
Yeah.
Grant, that is a lot for. I don't know. I feel like they would be like, no, the less amount of people to split, the better. Because Dom has to feed a family.
Yeah. So,
not a family of kids. You know, one of them acts like a child.
Yeah.
Actually, they all kind of act like children.
Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does go insane up until the end. And I do want to talk about the last heist a little bit later on.
But let's talk about the street race.
Yeah, let's talk about the first street race because
there's too many people in this scene.
Yeah.
Too many people. So we meet Leon. He's the guy that's on the scanner.
Yeah, he's on the scanner.
So they enter the street race, which is it's $2,000 to enter, but Paul Walker doesn't have it.
No.
Brian, I literally just said his two different aliases. Brian doesn't have the money, so he offers his car up, which is worth way more than $2,000.
Yeah.
And so before this, we see he like tricks out his car with Nos, which when we were watching, I totally forgot was like
a thing.
I'm so used to just the energy drinks.
It's funny because I heard someone say like, oh yeah, but the energy drink, and I was like, I was gonna say something where like this scene's gonna explain it. I was like, yeah, Nos started off as like nitro.
Yeah, and then now it's an energy drink. Do they still do nitro?
Yeah,
I assume so.
Nos is insane. This is like a little like side thing, but I believe at raves and stuff, people like fill up balloons with it, and like you inhale it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're supposed to get like a really, really sick head high. It's kind of like the evolved way of doing whippets.
Yeah, but those energy drinks, I don't know if they're like the same company, but it's the same exact logo.
It's the same logo. Yeah, I think it might be like a side thing to the business.
I've never had one of them.
They're all right.
Yeah.
Do you like energy drinks?
Somewhat.
Because they're like an easier to drink Monster. Monster has too much bite. It's too much of a monster.
Dude, my favorite energy drink, and it's like very I don't know if this is like it's too much of where I'm from, but I really like the Rockstar, but not the actual Rockstars, but the Rockstar sparkling water ones.
Never had those.
They're very hipstery.
Oh my god. I'm a big Red Bull fan.
Red Bull's good. I like Red Bull.
I love Red Bull.
I think Red Bull is like, I like the small ones because I think the big ones are a little too much.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But yeah, so he has his car souped up with Nos, and he's entering the race. And in the race, we have Dom, obviously, which is like, Dom is like the godfather. Everyone, as soon as he shows up, they're like, oh shit, here he comes.
Make way.
Make way, make way. And then we have Brian O'Connor. And I don't know if they ever say his name, but there's like the Asian dude who's playing PS2 in his car.
Which is nuts.
Yeah. And then we have Edwin, which is played by Ja Rule.
Fucking Ja Rule.
Ja Rule is like insane. I do remember that was a selling point of this movie, that Ja Rule was in this movie.
It is a good idea to like kind of like these like hip hop artists and rappers that kind of fit the scene, throw them in these movies. It's such a good move.
Yeah. But fucking Brian, he's like, his whole reasoning for this is like, he's gonna win the race, right? It's like, I'm gonna win the race. It's like, and not only am I gonna win the race, but I'm gonna win your respect. He's like, respect?
Yeah, and everyone laughs at him.
Because that's such a cheesy thing to say.
Oh my god,
Who says that? It's like, if I win, I'm gonna get your respect. It's like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Who invited you to this race? And then I like how Edwin's whole thing is just like, he wants a threesome.
Yeah.
And that's his goal of winning.
Yeah, so like the girl comes over to him and she takes his hand and puts it on her chest and like, if you win or lose, this is for you. And if you win, you get her.
Yeah.
And like another hot girl's there and he's like, oh shit. He's like freaking out. He's like hyping himself up.
Yeah, so when they're all like in their cars, they're all getting ready and shit, and Brian's checking out his like NOS, and then Dom has like NOS, but he has like smaller containers because he's like a little bit more controlled, I guess.
Yeah, and like Dom's is hit under his passenger seat.
Yeah.
And then Brian has no back seat to his car, so
he has 2 giant tanks of NOS.
Gigantic. And then the Asian guy. I feel bad just saying the Asian guy.
I don't know his name.
But yeah, he's playing like a racing game in his car.
That's so funny.
And he crashes in the PS like in the game. He's like, oh man, like
yeah.
I was like, damn, you don't care.
That's such a funny, like, it is like a very like stereotypical thing to do. It's like, oh, Asian kids playing video games in this car. But he's cool though. He's like a cool dude playing video games in his car. Because later on, Letty's playing the same game at home.
Yeah.
So like, I guess people like games and stuff. But yeah, I like that race a lot. That race has one of the few moments where it has very like bad CGI.
Yeah. It's like the first time we see like them do stuff with like the car. Because it does like this like, I don't even know what you would call the shot, but it goes into the car parts and you get to see all the mechanical workings and shit like that. And then when they fire up NOS, you see like the air kind of hit and then how it explodes into fire and stuff.
It's very like, I think Fight Club does something very similar where like it goes into like mechanics of something.
Okay.
But I do like when Dom, he's like, he has his hand on like the stick shift and he like goes into gear and then it goes from like his arm all the way down to his engine and we see everything going on. But the one thing I don't like is, because this was practical, right? A lot of the races and stunt work was practical. It's just insane that instead of just showing how everything could be done practically, they just like wanted to show you the CGI and just wanted you to like make you feel how it is to be racing, because like it's so crazy and everything is whirring past you and then it just stops and we see like the drivers and then it like goes into them and it like phases out.
Yeah, when we see like more shots of the drivers like just driving, like the backgrounds are obviously CGI.
Yeah.
And they're looking around all nonchalant and shit, and I'm just like, I get it. It's hard to make a street race exciting.
Yeah.
Because like, what else are you supposed to show us as them just going fast and then like people in the car? So I do give it props for trying.
Yeah.
You know, going into the engine and when they turn their NOS on to see what's happening in the car and shit.
So even though the CGI is terrible, do you think it worked for the movie?
Oh God, yeah.
Okay, because I was like, even though I recognize how bad it is, I'm like, it still works. It like gets me kind of hyped for it because I'm like, this is sick.
Yeah, like I don't know. I feel like there was no way for them in 2001 to make this look any better.
No, because this is like the last time we talked about terrible CGI was Scorpion King, and Scorpion King was like 3 years later.
Yeah, I think Fast and Furious beat it.
Oh yeah,
100%.
During that race, we see that Brian kind of like loses his shit a little bit. He goes a little too extreme, and he ends up almost like blowing out a bunch of shit in his car. Like rivets are like exploding near him.
Yeah, like the passenger side like flooring just pops right out.
Oh yeah,
which I don't understand. Like I said, not a car guy. I don't understand anything that's happening. I didn't even know NOS really did that. I thought that was more like a joke.
I think it's because it essentially just makes your car go faster than what it's capable of, and since he is pushing it for too long, like the actual frame of the car is shaking to a point where like shit's getting warped and stuff.
Damn. Yeah, because when we see that after the race is over, his car is like nearly just on fire.
Yeah.
It's like one of those vaping kids that just like blow like fatty clouds everywhere.
Yeah, because Dom's like, if you pushed a little bit harder, you would have died. You would have exploded.
Yeah. So the race is, so the Asian guy gets passed out, and so does Ja Rule.
Yeah, I love Ja Rule when he like does get passed. He's like, no, it's like Monica.
They get passed out by Brian, and Brian passes Dom for like a tiny bit.
Yeah,
and it looks like Brian's gonna win, and then that's when Dom uses his NOS, and the Dom wins. So then when they pull up, his car is smoking and shit like that, and so like Brian's like smiling, which I was like, this is weird.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I almost had you, and everyone's like, oh shit,
you almost had me.
Me. And then that's when we get one of the best lines in the movie.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning is winning.
Okay, that segues me perfectly into my next talking point that I want to hit. What do you think is a better speech that Dom gives out? I have two. If you know of any other speeches off the top of your head, go for it. But we have that one. So let's do that one first, where he's like, Brian says, I almost had you. He's like, you almost had me? You never had me. You never had your car. Granny shifting, not double clutching like you should. You're lucky that 100 shot of NOS didn't blow the welds off the intake. You almost had me. Now, me and the mad scientist gotta go rip apart the block and replace the piston rings you fried. Ask any racer. It doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning. So we got that speech. And then possibly the speech I like the most is later on in the movie when Dom is having almost like a heart-to-heart with Brian in his garage. And he's talking about his dad and stuff. And he's like, I live my life a quarter mile at a time. Nothing else matters. Not the mortgage, not the store, not my team and all their bullshit. For those 10 seconds or less, I'm free. So, I want to ask you, Nick, in your humble opinion, Fast and Furious 1, what is the better Dom speech?
Well, can I just say how they are almost the same speech in a way? Not by their words, but what he's getting on. So, the first one, winning is winning, you know? Dom's always number one.
Yeah.
He's the godfather. No one beats Dom. You almost had me. Yeah, right. Second speech. Doesn't care about anything other than those 10 seconds, basically.
Yeah.
And which says like a lot about he just wants to race and shit like that. And then we learn that he's banned from racing.
Yes.
I'd say the first speech is better.
Okay.
Only because the second one is just like, I don't know. It's weird that he says that to me, because everyone's like, Fast and Furious about family.
Yeah. And
that he's like, I don't care about anything other than those 10 seconds because that's when I'm the most free, which is symbolic, which is cool. You know, everyone has their thing. But it's weird because I thought he was very much like, this is my passion, my family.
Yeah.
They're not blood, but,
It is weird because I do like the first one because of how hype it is and how everyone in the background, after everything Dom says, they're all like, oh. Yeah. And I like how someone repeat what he says, like, Granny shifted.
Like, I can't believe he went there.
But, like, the second speech, I feel like comes out of almost nowhere. And it shows how, like, deep this one character that we think is just, like, some arrogant asshole can be. Because this is followed by something he says earlier, where he's talking about his dad. He's talking about how his dad was coming up in, like, the pro stock circuit. And it was, like, the last race of the season. And he was coming into the final turn when some driver rear ends him. And he sends his dad crashing at 120 miles an hour. And I love when he's like, I watched my father burn to death. I can still remember him screaming. The people who were there said my father died long before the tanks blew. They said it was me that was screaming. I was like, Jesus Christ.
That is a fucked up thing to think about.
Yeah.
Is like watching a parent die in such a tragic way, and then like you not even like remembering the whole thing the way you think, because like, you know, it's a traumatic, you're there and stuff, and you think like, oh, I heard this, and everyone's like, that was you, that was actually you. And it's like, you're like, shit, you know, like what reality was real, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because like, are they telling him the truth, or are they just saying that to calm him down a bit more?
Yeah, and the quarter mile speech follows that, and it is kind of like weird because we have known Dom as being this very protective person of his like team and like what he considers as his family. So to hear him say like, I don't care about their bullshit or anything that's going on because in those 10 seconds I'm free. And he does mention earlier in the movie that since he was in jail for 2 years, he'll rather die than go back.
Yeah.
So for to him, like freedom is like something he prioritizes more than anything.
Yeah.
But I guess as like what is a better speech for the Fast and Furious movie, I do think it is like the Inch or Mile as well, because it fits the mood so much more. So.
Well, one thing I wanted to bring up was, so Brian's whole thing is he's trying to bust the people who are doing these highway robberies.
Yeah.
And the police are adamant that it's Dom's crew.
Yeah.
But now, after the race and stuff like that, we meet the
Johnny Tran
and his gang, which he's like kind of like Yakuza mafia kind of vibes. And so they're the ones on the motorcycle, which makes you as the audience member think it was them that did the first highway robbery in the beginning, which I thought was fun.
Yes. Yeah, because we meet them after the race.
And
because Dom ditches his car.
Yeah, because the cops show up, which is one of the reasons why I think there was too many people in that fucking scene with the street race. There's no way no one called it out.
It is funny because when the cops show up and everyone fucking scrambles like cockroaches, we get that aerial shot of there's like 4 cruisers and there are just fucking dozens of cars peeling out. It almost just looks like traffic midday LA.
And it's like middle of the night on like the one boulevard. So like Dom ditches his car and Brian picks him up. Not his crew. Brian picks him up, which is a very interesting part, I think. But we meet Johnny Tran and his crew, which they have beef with Dom.
Yeah, they don't really go that much into it, but it is established that for some reason they don't get along.
Yeah.
Dom's not allowed on their turf, essentially.
Yeah, and so they're crossing their turf, which they're like kind of talking about how they're going to take Brian's car, even though it's Dom's now. Yeah. And then they like leave abruptly, then they come back and light the car up. Oh, wow. And then it's just them. They have to walk home.
Yeah, that was weird because Brian is very nonchalant about what just happened.
Yeah, which is like another like tell that like maybe he's not what he says he is. Yeah, because if you're $10,000 souped up, like the parts you put into that car are just gone now. Granted, the car's probably worth way more than 10 grand. Yeah, probably like I don't know how much cars are. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, but like $10,000 in just souped up parts, all destroyed in this really nice racing lime green car. Yep. And he's like, "What was that all about?"
Yeah. You know, it is funny because that they have a conversation where Brian is like, "Oh, it's not my car anymore. It's his." He's like, "No, it's not. You haven't done the drop off yet." And they're like, well, I guess it's no one's car. But I like how Dom's still like, you still owe me a 10-second car.
Yeah. So like that's like the big side plot for why Brian sticks around with Dom.
Because he owes him a car.
He owes him a car, and he got his good graces because he came and picked them up, and they got away from the cops.
I like the scene following immediately after that one because they take a cab home.
And it's at that like their house.
Yeah, it's at Dom's house.
And they're having a party, which is a very interesting cover-up. Yeah. For not being at the street race.
Yeah, they're having a party. Everyone's there. And I like how when they show up, Leon kind of looks like, oh, fuck. He's like, we were just gonna go after you, man. And like he like takes his beer, goes after Vince, takes Vince's beer, and they're like arguing and shit. And Vince looks at Brian and he's like, what's that Buster doing here? It's like, that Buster like saved my life, like stopped me from being in handcuffs. And he takes Vince's beer and gives it to Brian. He's like, here, this is Vincent's. Enjoy it. You can have any beer you want as long as that beer is a Corona.
Which is such a strange thing to say.
Yeah. You can have any beer you want as long as it's this.
As long as this was one and only beer. Which then Brian takes his shirt and he wipes the mouthpiece off. Which that was really funny.
I was half expecting him to like go I really like takes a sip. But I do like that, and I want to do that one day if like it's a ton of people come over. It's like you can have any drink you want as long as that drink is let's like say a drink that everyone hates.
Yeah, it's like you can have this as long as you just drink like Rumple Mints.
Yeah,
you're like Rumple Mints.
Yeah, man. Like Dom loves Corona for some reason. That's his beer.
Is that established later in movies?
Yeah, he's always drinking Corona.
Sick.
Yeah. That never goes away.
We'll do a Corona count. That was 2 in this movie?
Yeah, he drinks a lot of Corona. So there's that. I do want to talk about I guess let's talk about like Tran since we're with him right now. So since Brian is undercover, right? He's trying to find out who stole all the merch. Yeah. And he thinks it's Hector. Because Hector goes in, and Hector's a character we meet at the race, but he goes into the shop that Brian works with a fat stack of cash, and he wants 3 of everything. So they're like, how the fuck does this guy have all this cash? So it breaks into Hector's garage, and nothing there.
You know, he's trying to find like evidence of that he's the one doing it.
Yeah. So like Brian racially profiles him. And he gets picked up by Vince and Dom.
Yeah, Vince has a fucking pump action shotgun pointed right at his face. And he's like, he's a cop. So
there's that whole thing going on. And I guess as a test, they go to Johnny Tran's warehouse. Or his garage as well. I don't know why they're there. I guess to also check what they have.
Because Brian says to them, like, you know I can't lose at Race Wars, which is very problematic name for this race that's coming up. Because Dom wants Brian to race.
Yeah.
To kind of like get more money.
Yeah, use them as like another source of income.
Yeah. So he's like, you know I can't lose this like race. So he's like, he basically was like, I'm going around trying to see what everyone has so I know how to beat him. Which is not a bad cover.
No.
Which it works.
Yeah, but they go to Johnny Tran's garage. I guess to also see what they're up to. Ends up there's no engines in their cars.
Which is someone else is messing with them.
Yeah. Well, while they're hiding because Johnny Tran's gang come back, he sees that Johnny Tran has all the merch that was stolen. Supposedly.
Yeah, it looks like the merch that was stolen.
Yeah, they're like the exact same things. And Brian goes back to his superiors and it's like, I think it's this guy. Because he has all the stuff. They have criminal records, so it matches. But Brian's not fully convinced. He's like, I don't have enough hard evidence to go after them. But the guy who's in charge of the whole case is like, nah, this is enough. We're going after him.
Yeah, it's like, you see this a lot with like cop movies and stuff. Yeah. You always see like the one who's doing a lot of the investigation. It's either they're really certain on something or they're not 100%. And someone always pushes the envelope. Like, no, let's just do it. Let's just crack them down now.
So when they're like, fuck it, let's do this. And they go and they take down Johnny Tran.
And his brother and his whole like gang and shit. Here, all that random merchandise is paid for legally.
Yeah.
Which it's like, I think we talked about this last night. Why the fuck do they have like 6 VCRs and 6 TVs all chilling in a garage somewhere, like in boxes?
I have 2 theories. one theory is they're gonna do a Pimp My Ride situation and I just put it in all their cars.
That'd be sick.
So everyone could play PlayStation.
Oh, everyone could play PlayStation.
Yeah.
Oh shit, you might be right.
Oh, or I don't know. Maybe they're rich and they're like Christmas presents to their employees or whatever.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking like maybe he has a big family, so everyone gets like a VCR and a TV.
But yeah, and ends up being they paid for it all legally, so that bus it was bad. And I do like when they are like rating everything, and that one dude just like starts booking it, and one of the cops just choke slams him to the ground.
That was a fucking gnarly takedown.
Yeah, that was insane.
Because it's not just like any takedown you ever seen. Like it's full on choke slam.
Yeah, that was personal.
Yeah.
And then at Johnny Tran's house, he gets they raid his house, and he's getting taken away, and then his dad just comes up to him and
dishonors
like,
him. Yeah.
That was crazy.
That had more weight than most scenes in the movie.
Oh yeah, and he brings it back up later because Johnny Trent's pissed.
Yeah, like you dishonored me in front of my whole family and shit. Because he thinks Dom ratted him out. He has no idea who the fuck this Brian dude really is. Yeah,
but so yeah, nothing came out of it. Superior is pissed at someone. He was like, someone's gonna take the fall for this. And Brian's like, there's no way you're pinning this on me. And he's like, I could pin this on whoever I want. He's like, you have 36 hours to bring Dom in, because everyone knows it's Dom except for Brian. And I wanted to ask you, did you know from the beginning that this was Dom's crew?
No, because like I said, the first time we see them, they're doing it with motorcycles. And the first time we meet Johnny Tran, they have motorcycles. So I thought, I was like, okay, it's them. But actually, it was a pretty good like red herring kind of thing.
Okay.
But
I was really curious.
I knew Dom's crew was doing something just because the promotional material for the later movies, they're doing crazy heists and shit. So maybe they do it. But I was thinking like maybe it's both crews, or I don't know. I was thinking that the big boss was Johnny Tran's crew.
Oh shit. Okay, cool. I'm glad, because I was very curious if you were surprised that it was like, oh no, it's Dom's crew after all. Because if you knew that this was basically a ripoff of Point Break, it's essentially the same plot in Point Break where same thing happens. But man, how did you feel when Brian he's like realizing what he has to do, and he's like, fuck, I have to take down my friends, basically.
Yeah, it definitely sucks. Because like he shares like a dinner with them. He wants to get in Mia's shorts.
Yeah.
And he started connecting with some of the other characters. Like he feels for Jesse. So like it is kind of like that, like I can't do this kind of moment. But man, it's either you're a cop or you're gonna be with the criminals, you know?
So watching this movie came out, I don't know, 20 something years ago. Were you surprised that you felt something for Brian, that you're like, oh, that sucks that he has to do that?
Yeah. It is weird. I was like, oh wow.
You didn't expect to actually feel something for him?
No.
Oh man, that's great. I do like when they have that barbecue early on. This is like going back into like halfway through the movie, but they have the barbecue and he's chilling. He is part of the crew. He's part of the team and stuff. And Vince shows up and he's like, I'm out of here. And he's like, where are you going? He's like, help me out. It's like, oh, it seems like you got all the help you want. He books it, comes back, and he's like, I gotta eat, don't I?
Yeah. Oh man.
I love that. And then fucking Jesse is the first one to reach in for chicken.
So he has to say grace.
Yeah.
Which he says like, to the heavenly spirit.
Yeah.
Thank you for the fuel injectors and like all the fucking car parts and shit. And I'm like, oh my god, that's so cringy, but it's so funny.
Yeah, I love Jesse. I think Jesse's one of the best characters in the movie.
Yeah, so let's talk about Jesse this bit. So he dropped out of high school.
Yeah.
And he's really smart actually with like numbers and stuff, but he's ADD.
Yeah, he has like that mental disorder thing.
Yeah, and he goes ADD. He goes, that shit. Yeah, that shit. And he says that when he talks about engines and stuff, like it calms him down and shit.
He's really good at math, but sucks at everything else.
Yeah, which I've met kids like that, actually. They're like really good with cars, but like everything else, it's like nothing. And it is kind of like sad because like, not that they have like that's their passion, but like it's that like, oh, it's because he sucks at everything else.
Yeah.
He dropped out, you know? Like,
yeah. That is one of those moments where it's like, we do see how much Dom cares for this kid.
Yeah, because he's just like, I'm all that Jesse has.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh.
Because we learn that Jesse's dad is in jail. And we feel a little bit for Jesse. Once they go to Race Wars, not a lot happens at Race Wars, I would say. We see Letty race someone. She wins $2,000. And next race we see is with Jesse.
And Johnny Tran.
Yes. And a little to everyone else's knowledge, he's going to bet his peak slip. So he's betting his dad's car. Because Jesse is hoping that when his dad gets out of jail, they're going to have another car so they can like drive together and like have that as a bonding experience. So you're like, that's really sweet of him. But when he shows up to the track and we find out that it's Johnny Tran,
you're like, oh man, he's out for blood.
He's like, no man, he has a 2001 Honda. Like, I got this. And he does not got this. No. He doesn't got this at all.
No, he loses by quite a bit.
Oh, a lot, because he fucks up and he uses his NOS way too early.
Yeah. So essentially he's gonna lose his car, but he drives away.
How are you feeling at that moment when he drives?
I was like, oh fuck. He just caused so much shit. So he basically essentially is skipping town right now.
Yeah.
And so then Johnny approaches Dom's crew and is like, yo, where the fuck is he going?
Yeah.
Which has a really good line by Dom where he's just like, going to a car wash.
Yeah. Because that and then Johnny Tran's like, go fetch my car. He's like, go fetch your car? It's like, who the fuck do you think you're talking to?
Yeah, it's just like, we're not on anyone's turf, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you better watch who you say that shit to. And then they get into a fight after Johnny Tran says that you're the one that narked on me. And he's like, I never narked on nobody.
I never knocked on nobody.
Which, like, every time I hear, like, a double negative in, like, an argument, I'm like, so you did.
Yeah. Fuck, man. Yeah, because he's like, you dishonored my family, man. He's like, someone did it. And he beats the shit out of Johnny Tran.
And this is where you just kind of see the weird part of the movie from, like one of the weird parts of the movie. Letty just punches someone randomly so she could join the fight.
She knocks that guy out in one punch.
So it's just really strange. Mm-hmm. So that night, I think, we find out Dom and his crew, they left.
Yeah.
Because Brian's pressing them for like information about like, yo man, like I don't know how you're like able to pay for all these like souped up cars and stuff. There's no way your garage and your market makes this much money. Like I want in on what you're doing. So this is one of the reasons why he has to win Race Wars so he could be a part of this extracurricular activity, which is highway robbery.
Yeah.
And so Dom's crew leaves that night. And Brian knows the cops are going to be everywhere. And he wants to save them. So he convinces Mia to join him. This is where he like drops the bomb that he's a cop.
That was a little... It was a little sad when he has to like reveal to him. Because like he had to do it eventually. But just like the way it came out was like, I have no choice. Mia's mad at me for some reason.
Because she's just mad at the situation, and then him trying to press her for information and shit like that, it just makes her more mad. And then that's when he drops that he's a cop and he needs her help to save them to not get in jail. So then the highway robbery happens, and it's going terribly. It's like if you picked all the worst possible things that could happen. The driver has a shotgun. Yeah. Vince gets his arm tangled up in the the harpoon string or something. The guy is able to take out one of the cars. He like takes Letty's car out and shit, and it's like everything is terrible. Yeah, which is just hysterical.
That shit man, that whole heist went haywire so fast.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny because Letty's out. Dom has a tire blown out. Vince is just hanging on by a wire. And
he's shot in the side and shit.
Yeah, and Leon's kind of just like chilling in the back, listening to the scanner still. So I was like, Leon, man, what the fuck's going on with you?
Yeah, so Leon has to go and pick up Letty.
Yeah.
And then he eventually catches back up to them after Brian shows up with Mia.
Yeah, because Dom also gets taken out.
Yeah, so Brian jumps on the car. He rescues Vince, which is one of those like, oh shit, like you do care. That's like the good cop coming out at him. And so he saves them. The truck driver just drives the fuck away, which I think is so funny.
Yeah, dude, that truck driver was out for blood.
I don't know. He had like a whole box of shotgun shells, and he's like driving and reloading them. He's ready to take some fucking heads off.
That was a pretty tense scene when he's like loading it up, and he's like, fuck, is he gonna get like shoot at them before they have a chance to escape? Because we see that Vince's arm is like really fucked up.
Yeah, so it's like wrapped around all of his arm, and it's like pulling the tension and shit like that. Which you're like, oh fuck.
That's some deep lacerations.
And he gets shot in the side.
Yeah.
With a shotgun, like point blank, basically.
Yeah, so it's revealed that Vince is gonna die in like 10 minutes.
If he doesn't get an ambulance.
Yeah.
So Dom's there and Mia's there. Over his body, essentially. And then this is where Brian has to basically break the news to Dom right in front of him that he's a cop. He pulls out a cell phone and he's like, this is Agent Brian O'Connor. And then like Dom's face and like the music in the background of the dun dun every time like Dom is like ready to strike him, but he knows he can't do that.
I think he would have if Mia wasn't there, because Mia gives him that like, don't do it.
Yeah.
Like, because he's saving Vince's life, but oh my god, you can see in Dom's face that he's like, I'm gonna fucking murder you out here in the desert.
Yeah, I'm gonna bury your body somewhere.
Which is funny, because like people say Vin Diesel's not a good actor, but in that scene alone, his facial expressions, he portrays that anger really well.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
But yeah, like, that's done. Everyone else drives away, and I guess that leads us into my last question for you. Or not my last question, but one of the last questions I have is like, they show up, Brian shows up to Dom's house. Dom has a shotgun, and he's gonna assume they're gonna have a shootout, because Brian also pulls out his gun. But Dom's like, get the fuck out of the way. I need to look for Jesse. And he's like, put the gun down. Like, we'll talk about this. Like, you don't understand. He's like, I'm all he has. And Jesse shows up, right? And Jesse's just like,
I don't know what I'm doing, man. I'm so sorry and all this shit.
He's like, I'm scared, man. I don't know what I'm doing. And Johnny Tran and his buddy show up, and it's just a drive-by.
Just do a drive-by, and they kill Jesse.
So
very quickly.
Well, Jesse's kind of just standing there in shock, and he dies. And I want to ask you, did Jesse deserve to die?
No.
You don't think so? He fucked up bad.
He did fuck up really bad. He fucked up with the wrong people.
Yeah, but he also fucked Dom over. Because, like, Dom is basically representing everyone in his crew. And I think also what led to that, I don't think just Tran would have killed Jesse, but I think what triggered it and pushed him over the edge was the fact that Dom beat the shit out of Tran, and Tran's smiling at that point. So I'm wondering if there was like some kind of
build up for this. Yeah, I think definitely you're 100% right on that.
Like Dom got pushed a little bit over and like deals off. So like now they have the right to go after them and stuff.
Yeah. So Jesse fucked up. He fucked up with the wrong people, but honestly, no one deserves to die really, especially over a car.
Yeah.
You know, money is owed and shit, and that's a whole, like, you know, scary world and shit like that, but
it was about honor.
About family.
They dishonored him.
Yeah. Which I guess is, like, worth more than money and cars and shit.
Let's see. Okay. Let's talk about. So we talked about the one race in the beginning of the movie. I think this movie has two good races. There's the first race, where it's like the central street race where everything's established, and the last race between Dom and Brian.
Okay, yeah.
And it starts as a chase, but then Brian pulls up next to Dom, and he's saying how, from here to the railroad tracks is exactly a quarter mile. At the green, I'm going for it. And there's just like this agreement that they were gonna race like one last time.
So Dom's using his dad's car.
Yeah.
That he says he never raced before with. And Brian's using the car that they souped up together.
Yeah.
And they have like probably the funniest. I think that's a funny race.
Yeah.
Because it says it's only a quarter mile.
Yeah.
The first race, I think they said, is a 2 miler or a mile or whatever.
I think it's also a quarter mile.
A quarter mile? Because it seems like it's the entire street.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like, to me, I think that'd be like a bigger race than this one. But yeah, I feel like this last one feels so much longer because there's a train coming.
Yeah. Dude, the train.
Which is the first absurd thing in the series, I think, now. Besides the highway robberies, now we have our first big action set piece of a race, which they're trying to race each other and also not get destroyed by the train. Which we have a very anticlimactic thing that happens, in my opinion.
Okay.
So they're racing and they're trying to beat each other out. And do they use their NOS?
They do.
Yeah. And this is when like Dom's car starts like fucking freaking out and shit like that. And they make it. They just barely make it past the train. Yeah. And then all of a sudden Dom just gets hit by a truck.
Dude, when they make the lead up to that, because Brian has a NOS, right? And I feel like Brian doesn't want to do it. But he's seeing the Dom's going for it, so he's like, fuck. So he hits the second NOS. And they're going ahead. They make the jump, slow-mo. Dom looks over and he's like, huh, we did that shit. And then he died. He gets fucking T-boned by a truck.
Yeah.
Comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, and he's like virtually honest. Like, he doesn't seem like he's too hurt. Well, like he's holding his arm and shit.
I think he's freaked out. Because he's like breathing pretty heavily. He's like,
yeah.
It's like, oh, that wasn't smart.
And then, because right before this, we see, because they did that chase with the trans. Totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
With Johnny Tran and his crew. And, well, I guess his brother that killed Jesse.
I don't know. Is it his brother? Or...
I don't know. I don't know. Lance, I think his name is.
Okay.
Is the guy in the skin tight snake pants.
Yeah.
So he doesn't die. Lance doesn't die. But Brian shoots and kills Johnny.
Yeah.
Because he points his like little Uzi minigun at him.
Yeah.
And then that's what triggers the last race. I think Dom sees that Johnny's dead. So he's like, all right, I can peace out, you know? Like, and so police are showing up. And Dom does not have a car. And he's like, he's giving that look like, fuck, I'm not going to die before I go back.
Yeah.
And then Brian gives him the keys and he's like, I owe you a 10-second car, don't I? And I was like, fuck you.
I love that. I love that so much. It's such a like a bro thing.
Yeah, it is a bro. It's fun to watch, but I was like, because like I know what the series kind of turns into.
Yeah.
Like, that goes fucking crazy. I'm like, I was like, I wanted a prison break with cars. That would have been really funny.
Oh. You'll get what you want, Nick.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It gets there. Because this isn't the last we see of Vin Diesel and stuff. But yeah, when Brian gives the keys, I don't know if you noticed, but he's holding the keys very weird.
Yeah, like
he's like,
like I got you $1.
Yeah, but he gives it to Dom. Dom leaves, and the movie kind of ended there, right?
Yeah, which I hate that ending.
Yeah,
because so much does not get resolved in a normal movie fashion.
Yeah,
or it doesn't even get like closure. We don't know if Vince is dead because he gets taken away in a helicopter.
Yeah.
We don't know what his relationship with Mia is like. We don't even see Dom go. Like, it would have been cool to see him like on the highway somewhere or whatever. We we don't even see Brian having to deal with like the aftermath of all this. Brian caused a lot of fucking damage at the end of the movie, you know. Granted, he shot and killed someone who did a drive-by, and he could like justify for that. And they have Lance, I guess, like off on the side of the road somewhere. But like, you don't even get to see them get processed for jail or like. I was like, what the fuck? Like, you made such a big point that Brian was a cop and he had to do the right thing, and Dom's crew. Like, you don't get to see what happens.
Yeah. So, a minor fuck up on my part, but there is an after credits scene in this movie.
I know we talked about it. Last night we were talking about it.
Not that one. That's an alternate ending.
Oh, alternate ending. Okay.
There's an after credits scene, and I completely blanked out for some reason last night. But in the after credits scene, we see Dom's in Mexico.
Okay.
So he made it to Mexico, and he's driving off in the distance. So it's like he made it. He
is he with anyone?
He's by himself.
Damn. He leaves Letty behind.
I don't know if he knows where Letty is, because all we see is Mia back at the house. Maybe Letty's with Vince. I don't know. She's gone after like maybe she's at the hospital too, because she does seem kind of out of it when they're in the car.
Yeah, she does get her car flipped.
Yeah, but yeah, he is in Mexico. Alternate ending though, you did bring that up last night, where I think the alternate ending is
Brian goes up to Mia and's like, "What are we?" essentially.
Yeah,
and she's like, "I'm packing and I'm leaving." And he's like, "Well, I quit the force," but really, like, I guess the force let him go. So she's like, "Oh yeah, if you want to come with me, you know, like, you're gonna have to like prove yourself to me," kind of thing.
He's like, "I got time."
Yeah, I got time.
And that's essentially how the movie ends. Yeah, I think I hit up most of the points I wanted to hit up. I did want to bring up how, for a movie in 2001, this had a very diverse cast.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
I like that it wasn't just like all one race.
Yeah, because we have almost a person of every single like major race in this movie.
Yeah.
Which is funny because they end up going race wars.
Ooh.
It's just like a bunch of
maybe they knew.
Maybe.
I feel like someone was like, "What do you call a big car race?" Race war. Like, oh, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's everything I want to hit up. So let's take a quick break, and then we'll get to some trivia, and then we'll do our final thoughts. All right, welcome back to some Fast and Furious trivia.
Vroom, vroom.
So here's something I didn't know until I was watching some of the bonus features on the Blu-ray. Neither Michelle Rodriguez, who plays Letty, or Jordana Brewster, who plays Mia, had driver license or even learner's permits before the production of the film.
So were they really not driving?
They were. The director basically gave them a major crash course on how to drive and shit, and they made them like do a bunch of like crazy stunts and stuff
without licenses and stuff. So I guess it's on private backlot and stuff like that. So it's not like an actual road. So I guess it's legal.
I think like he essentially taught them how to drive and like made them get their license and shit. But it was it was insane how they were doing it. It was funny because Michelle Rodriguez was like, "My only complaint is they didn't let me go faster than 80 miles an hour." I was like, "Bitch, you don't have your license."
That's funny.
So it was funny how she's supposed to be like one of the most badass racers, and she didn't even have a permit.
That is badass though.
Yeah. So Paul Walker and Jordana Brewster, I feel like they had a pretty good chemistry in this movie. I don't know if you thought the same thing.
I don't think so.
No, I thought they had good chemistry.
Only reason why I think that is because so Mia, how you say her name?
Mia. Jordana.
She is a better actor than Paul Walker in this movie, in my opinion.
That's a hot take.
That is a hot take. I know.
Some people don't think she's a good actor at all.
But like, I don't think she's fabulous. But I think because when they're together, they're very strange, and even when they're not together. But like her kind of like the sassy comments she makes in the kitchen and stuff like that. She plays her character, I think, better than Paul Walker. I get it. He's trying to play like he's trying not to be the cop in the moment. Which I guess if you're a cop for like so long, it's hard to turn that switch off. So maybe that's why he acts so weird.
Yeah.
But I just can't get over how weird Brian is in this movie.
Yeah. It is a little bizarre. I do like their little thing where they're washing dishes together, and Vince is like, he shows up and he's making fun of Brian, and he's like, "What's that Cuban restaurant that you've always been wanting to take me to?" He's like, "Oh, the one with the little wooden tables and
the red candles."
She's like, yeah. What's that one? What's the name of that one? He's like, Cha Cha Cha. She's like, oh, cool. You could take me there. And she points to Brian.
Yeah. Which, like, that's my favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah.
Because she hypes Vince up so hard. Oh, yeah. He has, like, he's full chubbed at that point. Yeah. He's like, oh my God, like, yeah.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, and he's like all gassed. He's like, you mean the one with this or that? Like the one I was really trying to get you to go to? And he goes, yeah. And then when she turns around and breaks his fucking heart, and then he leaves, and he's like, make your own fucking popcorn to the people out there.
I like that a lot. But I wasn't funny enough, that was a derail, but I was going to say how Vin Diesel and Michelle Rodriguez were actually dating off screen during filming. So they had like an actual relationship going on.
Yeah. Are they still together?
I don't think so.
Because I know they're good friends.
Yeah, they are.
When we do a little bit more trivia, I do have something to say about them.
Okay. During the race wars, real-life drivers brought their cars to participate in the huge scene, and over 1,500 cars were at race wars.
How many?
1,500. So 1,500.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Like, they advertised this, and, like, it was just a bunch of people bringing their own personal cars and stuff as extras.
That blows my fucking mind. Did they do that for the street race in the beginning?
I don't know if it's... I know this just for race wars. I'm not sure about the actual beginning. But it may be, because there were a ton of people there.
Dude, there are too many people at that street race.
Yeah.
There's too many people there.
It's insane. One of the working titles... Some of the working titles for the movie included Racer X... like the article, Red Line, and Race Wars.
Good thing they didn't go to Race Wars.
That would have aged poorly.
Would have aged so bad. I can't imagine adding sequels to Race Wars.
Yeah. How do you feel about the title, The Fast and the Furious?
I like it up until I realized that their naming convention for the rest of the movies is terrible.
They end up like dropping a word here and there, and maybe they'll add another word.
It's like so like I'm a sucker for like when you just go numeric, and then like it could be like The Fast and the Furious 1, and then it'd be like Too Fast, Too Furious. Like that's a good play. But they should have said The Fast and the Furious 3, then give like a subtitle for it.
No, I think their one's just like Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift.
Yeah, which like because it's not even The Fast and the Furious anymore.
By the fourth one, they drop the and it's just like Fast and Furious.
Yeah. Which like I get it.
Yeah.
And then when they change it to Fast 5, you're like, come on.
So the actors went to racing school in Las Vegas. Walker, Rodriguez, Diesel, and Brewster all drove Formula One cars in preparation for the street racing scenes. And they said, we could see right away Paul was going to be an ace driver, Cohen said. It was clear that he had natural talent. He had no fear. You could see he was falling in love with the whole car business.
Oh.
So that's kind of cool how they actually practice in Formula One race cars.
That's cool. Yeah, get like the realism of like how they actually have to play with the wheel. I don't know. And
then the last one bit of trivia I have for you is the real location of Toretto's house is in which is Dominic Toretto's house. It's in Southern California, in the epicenter of sorry. It says Dominic Toretto's Southern California home is the epicenter of the film's romance, partying, and group bonding. In the movie, the address is 1327, but the house is really located at 724 East Kensington Road in Los Angeles, Echo Park neighborhood, blocks away from Dodger Stadium. Fast and Furious superfans regularly take pilgrimages to the home, which remains intact. The home has also been featured in the subsequent Fast films. Damn. So you could go to the house where Dom's. Another like side trivia I have for that one is they made the owners of that house paint the house white so the cars could pop more.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And I believe that's all the trivia I have. Yeah. Do you have any trivia?
Not like for Fast and Furious, but mainly just for like, so like my big thing with like Vin Diesel and Michelle Rodriguez is just like, so like I play video games a lot. I'm very interested in like the whole world, but the video game awards in 2019, did you know that they were there? They're like there for like Vin Diesel is in the new Ark survival game coming out.
Okay.
And they're talking about how they love video games. And they are like the scariest people on stage. They sound like they're trying to do like a hostile takeover of like the video game industry. And they're talking about like the Fast and the Furious video games and shit like that. And like it's very strange. And then like just learning from you today that like Vin Diesel is like super into like D&D, it makes sense why he seems so awkwardly passionate.
Yeah.
It was like, we're gamers, like that's how he said it and stuff, and it comes off as like someone like back like when like nerd culture was starting to get popular and people were like, yeah, I love Star Wars, and you're like, do you though?
Did you ever see that YouTube video, D&D Diesel?
No.
I think it's with Critical Role, and they have like Vin Diesel on as a special guest.
That's sick.
It's a one-off. It's like 40 minutes.
That's sick.
Yeah, if you ever like are interested in it, he rolls a nat 20 at one point, and he gets so fucking into it.
Oh,
he plays him. He's like, I grab my sword, and he's like, oh, he's into it. Like with I always forget the DM in Critical Role, what his name is.
Oh, Matt Mercer.
Yeah, he's like narrating what's happening when Diesel's like, yeah. It's just so funny to see, like,
because he's such like a big buff dude.
Yeah,
and that he takes like such love for it. It's awesome.
Yeah, because he had his own character that he like has in his own personal campaigns. Like he brought that character over to like that D&D session. So let's talk about, or let's do our final thoughts for The Fast and the Furious. Do you want to go first?
So my final thought is that I would probably never watch this movie again. Not because I hated it, just because like I don't really have too much interest in it. I feel like it's a very one and done kind of thing, even for the series.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I am curious to see if I could skip this one to just watch the other ones instead. That is kind of like one thing I'm going to try to do, is like how many of these are unneeded.
Well, that would be a fun project for you to do. The casual fan's guide to Fast and Furious, and mark which ones are skippable and which ones aren't.
Yeah, so I'd say this one sets up Brian and Dom's, I guess, like kind of weird friendship.
Yeah.
And I guess his relationship with Mia, and like that's it.
Yeah, because
if he's not a cop in the later movies, then you really don't really need 2 minutes of that background, depending on what kind of situations they get into.
I think you'll need it for 4. Because in 4 something happens, but that's about it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So if you knew that Brian was a cop beforehand, I think that's all you need to know.
Okay. Yeah, so I will give The Fast and the Furious. I think I will give it a 5 out of 10.
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah. It was very like, whatever.
Middle of the road.
Yeah, very middle of the road.
It's funny because I feel like this is the fellowship to the Fast and Furious series. Where it's
I can see it.
It is one of those movies where it's like...
You know what? I'll give it a 5.5, closer to a 6. Just because it didn't feel very long. Okay. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's only an hour and 45.
Yeah, and it felt like a little shorter than that.
That's cool. I feel like I might give this like a 6.5. It's not my favorite in the series at all. And you're right, I hardly ever go back and watch this movie. Just because it's like, it does age itself a little bit. There's not too much going on.
Yeah.
It is. I only rewatch it if I am watching the series over with someone. But if I'm just rewatching the Fast movies by myself, I hardly ever watch this one.
You'll just watch the ones you like.
Yeah.
That's not a bad way to do it. I think when I go back and watch Lord of the Rings, I just like to watch just like snippets of one. There's all of Two Towers.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because like exactly, most people skip Fellowship.
Yeah, you don't need too much if you've already seen it once or twice.
Because Fellowship is just all exposition.
Oh my god, yeah, it's just world building.
Yeah, so like once you got it, you got it.
Yeah.
Go to Twin Towers and then, or Two Towers.
The Twin Towers.
Go to the Two Towers. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of 2001.
Oh, fuck. Holy shit.
But yeah, just go to the Two Towers and start from there, which is how I feel about the Fast series. I think it's weird because it's like Tokyo Drift is a fan favorite of a lot of people, but I would just always skip the trilogy, like the first three, and just start at like 4.
Oh wow.
And I don't even like 4 that much. I've been on record on saying that Fast 5 is the best movie of all time. Or the best action movie of all time.
Oh wow.
It's so good. Oh, I can't wait till we get to Fast 5 because it's like
just 3 more weeks.
I know. I want to watch it right now. But yeah. So I would give the Fast and the Furious a 6.5. I think I said.
Yeah, that's what he said.
So yeah, 6.5. I think it did what it's supposed to do. It didn't really. I don't know. It's weird to like review this movie as itself, just because it's like it's part of something bigger. But by itself, like you said, like if this movie did come out and it wasn't a franchise, this movie would just like I don't think it would be as memorable as it is.
Yeah, I know that it would be like it might have gained like a cult following later on.
Yeah.
But yeah, because you said the second movie comes out like pretty soon after.
Yeah, because the second movie, like I said, Vin Diesel left to go do XXX, so he's not in the second movie. It's just Brian.
Okay.
And they're not in LA anymore. They move away. So and the script is so different. It has like nothing to do with this movie.
Damn.
So that's why I'm like, if you watch the first movie, it is skippable if you're just watching the second movie, because the second movie barely mentions anything that happens in the first movie.
That is wild.
And then same with the third movie. The third movie also doesn't really mention anything that happened in the last 2 movies. It's only until the fourth one where you get to it where like they start calling back to a lot of stuff.
Damn.
Yeah, it's insane how that works. But I am excited for the rest of the series. Oh, one thing I never mentioned was are you a fan of Gone in 60 Seconds?
Yeah.
So when this movie came out, Gone in 60 Seconds came out before this movie. And people thought that this was like a remake of that movie. So not only was it getting compared to Point Break, but it was also getting compared to Gone in 60 Seconds.
I can see it getting compared real hard to Gone in 60 Seconds.
My
mom loves that movie.
Really? She a big Nick Cage fan?
No. But she just loves that movie.
Okay.
It is a good movie. I like that movie.
It's a good movie, but it's not as memorable as this one.
No, I think a lot of awkward and really strange things just like step out way more in this movie.
Yeah.
I think I like the plot of Gone in 60 Seconds way more than this plot.
I'm having a hard time remembering what it. All I remember is like it is heist and they're stealing cars, right?
Yeah, because Nick Cage. I could be very wrong on this part. Nick Cage's brother or someone gets kidnapped and they're held at ransom and they want all these cars.
I don't remember that at all. Jesus.
But they're stealing like a fuckload of cars. And I think that's funny.
Okay. Oh man, I might have to rewatch that. I wonder if it's streaming anywhere.
Maybe.
I
hope I'm not wrong on the plot. I'll feel really stupid.
That's kind of cool. I like that. Like, someone kidnapped my brother. I have to steal cars to pay him back.
Yeah.
I'm just Googling the plot right now.
I'm Googling it, yeah. Gone in 60 seconds. A car thief is forced to steal 50 luxury vehicles in one night in order to save the life of his brother, who is fallen foul of a dangerous crime lord.
What the fuck? In one night?
Yeah. I
don't remember this movie that well at all.
There's also a rival band of thieves. This movie got a 25 on fucking Rotten Tomatoes. A 6.5 on IMDb, so...
This just shows that critics don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Exactly.
Well, I feel like this is a good place to leave us off on. So... That was the Fast and the Furious. not a total bust. It was semi-enjoyable. I feel like the conversations are more enjoyable that come out of this movie than anything else.
Yeah, because there's not too much to really like sit down and talk about the movie. But when you start to like, I don't know, just like talk a little bit about it, it's fun.
Yeah, so if you like what you heard, please rate and review us wherever you get your podcast from. And join us on this endeavor of Fast and Furious Summer. Next week, we're going to watch 2 Fast and Furious, a very long episode of Miami Vice, and I hope you all enjoy it. So until next time, see ya.
Peace out.